going on, everybody? What's going on? Welcome back to another little short episode of What You're Talking About, Willis. You already know how I do. You know how I get down. I get down with the get down. First, let me start by saying thankful to my Lord Savior Jesus Christ. Without him, I wouldn't be able to do nothing like that. It's given me the confidence and the ability to speak my mind and not care what any of y'all have to think. Also, I always gotta give a shout out to the people that's been supporting me from the beginning. All my 250 plus subscribers. Hey, let's make it to 300. Why not? Since we already here, let's make it to 300. Thank y'all so much. Love the support. Love how you tell everyone. Love how y'all spreading the word. Just remember, like, share, and comment, and repost on your social media platforms. As you can see at the bottom of the screen, those are all my social media platforms. Just give them all a follow. When I go live, I do go live on most of all of these, except for Instagram. But I do go live on Facebook and Twitter. So be sure to catch the lives. If you haven't seen the lives, if you haven't seen any of the other episodes, check them out. Go back. They're there. Enjoy. Now, to get into the meat of this, George Floyd. Now, back when that happened, 2020, I told y'all this was everything that happened there was to push an agenda and to help a certain party. What party? The Democratic Party, to get votes because feelings, because black folks love emotional things. You get them riled up with all the racial stuff. That's how they get them to vote a certain way, and that's what happened. Well, also from the beginning, I told y'all, and y'all can be mad at me all y'all want. I told y'all from the beginning that the knee on the neck, right, for 9 minutes didn't kill that man. Didn't kill him. It was the drugs in his system. So y'all don't wait for anything to come out. I told y'all, even when the whole hype was going on, it was unpopular for me to say stuff like this. I said it. Everybody want to give me attitude, but it don't scare me because you know I'm gonna say what I have to say when I want to say it. The knee didn't kill him. Chavanel, whatever his name is a political, pretty much an arrest, right? The report is saying that he didn't die from asphyxiation. It was the drugs in his system. But then again, we don't even go back to the beginning, right? See, this is what I was saying from the beginning. Why were the police called? If you see all the footage that's out now, the store clerk called the police because this dude is committing a crime, giving them fake money. The police get there, start talking to him, arrest him because he's known to them. They actually try to put him in the vehicle and get him out of there, and they couldn't do it because he was fighting and complaining, and they couldn't get him in the cruiser to take him to jail. They tried, and then you got them holding him down, and you got a mass crowd around you. You don't know what's about to happen. You don't know who's going to come at you, who's gonna attack you, shoot you, assault you, whatever. You just trying to look out for your safety. And ultimately the drugs in his system takes his life. But good old my man Tucker Carlson, man. Love that dude. Love what he's doing on the X platform. And now this I watched this video the other day. It's 13 minutes, so bear with me. We're going to get through it together, but it's going to be some topics, points that I want to point out. But it's not going to be much because this is what I've been saying since the incident. I said this the whole time. Ladies and gentlemen, I said everything that you're about to hear, I've already said it and I've been saying it. But since y'all don't want to talk to me, since I got a little bit of followers, I ain't got that much. I'm not that cool. Tucker Carlson is way cooler than I am. I want y'all to enjoy this with me. And we're going to watch this together. Ladies and gentlemen, you guys enjoy.
Now that we know that it was not, in fact, a pandemic of the unvaccinated, now that we know that Ukraine is not actually winning the war against Russia, it could be time to revisit some of the other slogans we've been assured are true and ordered to repeat. Are they, in fact, true? Did, for example, a racist white cop actually murder a man called George Floyd, a civil rights leader, in Minneapolis on Memorial Day of 2020?
Right.
Now, we've been told that happened, told it relentlessly for more than 3 years. So at this point, we've been told it so much that pretty much everybody seems to believe it. And because everyone does kind of believe it, a small group of people has been allowed to make massive changes to American society.
Tucker, I will say I never believed it.
They include, but are not limited to, decriminalizing stealing, defunding the police, adding a new federal holiday to the calendar called Juneteenth.
By the way, I don't even celebrate that. And nobody knew what it was even before they made that new holiday. Okay. See, what Tucker's saying right there, and I'm going to let the video keep playing, I promise. But all as a result of the whole Floyd effect, y'all forget they was celebrities. And this was during COVID when you couldn't do nothing, right? So people forget that. During COVID, when everything was shut down, they had these big funerals. Celebrities were coming out. They gave this man a gold casket. They were building statues, paintings. They were having all these gatherings. Meanwhile, you couldn't go to church. You couldn't take your kids to playground. You couldn't do all this stuff except for that. You can do all that. And what he's saying is a small group of people came out and made all these different changes to police departments and all sorts of stuff, which ultimately hurt the public. Look at Mayor Bowser right now for DC, I guess funding the police, giving them their police powers that they should never had taken away, as far as pursuits and stuff like that. Oh, she's bringing them back and allowing the police to do police work, right? Because defunding the police doesn't help the public. It hurts the public. It hurts innocent people. But I'm not going to go on a rant. I'm going to let y'all do it. Y'all got to remember, preachers, all sorts of people, public figures, etc., were preaching on behalf of George Floyd, man. A lot of people were doing this. They made Floyd some martyr, which he wasn't, but they don't know, or they don't realize, or they don't want to see that he wasn't a positive member of society at all. But I digress.
The ceasing of hiring all white men in corporate America, and of course, significantly, they also sent a cop called Derek Chauvin to prison for more than 40 years. He would be the racist white devil who murdered George Floyd. But the question is, did he actually murder George Floyd? And the answer is, well, no, he didn't murder George Floyd. And we're not guessing about that. We know it conclusively, thanks to a new court case now underway in Hennepin.
It's what's sad is we already knew this, and the evidence has been there. And now it's starting to come to light. Like, now we're allowed to talk about it. It's been 3 years since the incident. That evidence should have been out. Whenever they first got the evidence should have been out. But here we go.
County, Minnesota. The case was brought by a prosecutor there called Amy Sweezy. She's suing her boss. So the case is not actually about George Floyd or Derek Chauvin, but it tells you an awful lot about both of them. In her deposition, which you should read, Amy Sweezy describes a conversation that she had with the county medical examiner, Andrew Baker, right after George Floyd died. Quote, "I called Dr. Baker early that morning to tell him about the case and to ask him if he would perform the autopsy on Mr. Floyd." Sweezy recalls all this under oath in the deposition. Quote, "He called me later in the day on that Tuesday, and he told me that there were no medical findings that showed any injury to the vital structures of Mr. Floyd's neck. There were no medical indications of asphyxia or strangulation."
Well, we got to go back.
Medical indications.
I got to go back. I want y'all to read it in case y'all missed it. I want you to read it in case you missed it. Go ahead. Take your time. There were no medical findings that showed any injury to the vital structures of Mr. Floyd's neck. There were no medical indications of asphyxia or strangulation. We'll continue.
Of asphyxia or strangulation. Oh. In other words, George Floyd, according to the official autopsy, was
Official,
not murdered.
by the way. Official.
He died instead of what we used to call natural causes, which in his case would include decades of drug use, as well as the fatal concentration of fentanyl that was in his system on his final day. So this was not a killing. It was yet another narcotics OD in a country that records more than 100,000 of them every year. The medical examiner clearly understood that and, in fact, articulated it. And Sweezy explains. He said to me, she recalls in the deposition, Amy, what happens when the actual evidence doesn't match up with the public narrative that everyone's already decided on? And then he said, quote, this is the kind of case that ends careers. In other words, everyone lied about it from the very beginning.
One day people will listen to me. You guys can call me crazy all you want, but every time I say something, it always comes to light. Every time I say something, it always comes back to not a conspiracy theory, to the actual truth. What I was saying from the beginning was the actual truth. You know, friends, family, whatever. People all wanted to discredit anything that I had to say about it. But in reality, it was the actual truth. In reality, it caused more harm than positivity. What did this help in society? It helped nothing. You got a Black Lives Matter street, boulevard, or whatever, plaza over in DC. And what? What has changed? What has changed? Nothing. Nothing has changed. Things have gotten worse. The mainstream media lies to you all day, every day. It lies to you all day, every day. And you guys don't want to see it. You guys don't want to listen to me. Guys don't want to listen to more popular voices like Tucker or anyone else. I'm just a loser. Tucker's telling you right here. I'll let it keep coming.
The people who knew the truth hid the truth and allowed the revolution to proceed. Now they've been exposed. Now we know the truth. What happens next? Well, they're going to ignore it. The Biden administration just issued a long purple statement celebrating George Floyd's birthday. He's a martyr, despite the fact we know that he was not murdered. And by the way, Derek Chauvin is still languishing in jail for the rest of his life. So how do we respond to this? How do we respond to the truth once we have it? Well, Vince Everette Ellison seemed like a good man to ask. He's the author of Crime, Inc. He joins us now. Vince, thanks so much for coming.
Now, this next segment about what this gentleman is about to say, I want y'all to pay close attention. I know I keep saying this the whole time, that I've been saying this over and over again. I've been saying this for the longest time. I've already said what he's about to say. I've already told y'all what he's about to say, but he's about to go in, okay? He's about to go in on you clowns, all right? Now, if you're not ready for that, if you don't want to sit here and take that, then you better close it up right now. He's about to go in. Pay attention. I've been saying this from the beginning. Listen up.
For coming on. So, as with so many other stories, the
thanks
origin
for having me, Tucker.
of COVID. Oh, it's a blessing to have you. We now know what actually happened, but the question then is, what do you do with that knowledge? We know that the U.S. government, Tony Fauci, worked with the Chinese to create the virus that overturned the American economy. But, what do we do with that knowledge? What do we do with the knowledge that George Floyd was not actually strangled to death by a cop?
We have to acknowledge the people that gave it to us and why. See, George Floyd is the Democratic Party's prototypical black man. These are the black men they are trying to create. So George Floyd has to be elevated. He has to be celebrated. He's perfect to them. He was poor. He was uneducated. He was a drug addict. He didn't have a job. He was down there begging and crying and asking the white people to not kill him. To a Democrat, to a white Democrat, this is the perfect black man. So he has to be elevated. Look, not a few days ago, Kamala Harris and Joe Biden celebrated hip-hop music. They had a celebration of hip-hop.
Hip-hop culture is America's culture. It is a genre. It is music and melody and rhyme. And hip-hop is...
Anything Kamala Harris says, you should ignore. She has no idea about anything. Whenever she says something, it's almost as bad or maybe worse than what Biden says. Pretty much. It's music, it's melody, it's rhyme. I'm telling y'all, man, these people don't care about you. They have no interest in your well-being or your family or your livelihood. They just want you to be pawns, and they want you just to do what they tell you to do. They act like they like you. They act like they want to support you and rely on us. We'll take care of you. Don't. Do the exact opposite and don't believe anything they say. Trust me.
It's also an ethos.
A music genre that calls the black man the N-word, calls women the W word.
We don't want to talk about hip-hop culture, do we?
Talks about misogyny, shooting police, smoking dope, selling dope, fighting, killing, acting a fool. They celebrated this genre. Why? Because this is how they see black America. They see us the same way they see George Floyd. And they have to make more of us because everywhere they rule, you know, John F. Kennedy stood in front of the Berlin Wall in the 60s and said, if you think that communism is great, let them come to Berlin. Well, if you think that the Democratic Party is great, let them come to Detroit. Let them come to Chicago. Let them come to St. Louis. Let them come to LA, Portland, Seattle, Memphis. Anywhere where they rule, you will see George Floyd's all over the place. And they're proud of them. In Baltimore, Maryland, they spend $21,000 per child for every child up there inside the school district. Not one school is proficient in math, science, or reading.
Shame.
But they keep it going every year. Why? Because they're producing George Floyd.
But
and George Floyd's vote for the Democrat Party.
But why would, so when most of us, you, me, I think all normal people look at George Floyd's life, you think this is a disaster. This guy never added anything. He took a lot in prison at least 8 times. I mean, his life was a tragedy at best. Why would you want more people like that?
Because he votes for the Democrat Party.
Exactly.
And then he teaches his children to vote for the Democrat Party.
Exactly.
And then these white Democrats can feel superior to him.
Exactly. Again, I don't have much to say. I've been saying this stuff. Oh, man. Literally. To a T. I've said this stuff to a T. It's exactly why. They're just using you. Black folks don't realize that they just use you, man. The government is just pimping you out. They use you every time. They slap you in the face. They say they don't want any more racism. We're here to end racism, but they're the most racist to you, and you just sit there and accept it. But y'all don't want to see that. I don't understand why y'all don't want to see that. They're literally using you. And it's not like some kind of new age thing, right? I'm 36. This gentleman is older than I am. Still look good, but he's older than me. And he said he's lived longer than I have. He's probably seen some things, been through some things. Okay, has some difficulties, has some challenges. And he's saying the same thing. He's saying the same. He's lived longer than me now. Okay. And he's saying the same thing that I'm saying.
Yeah. He can be controlled by them. Just like, think about an old slave plantation, Tucker, back in the day. How they wanted their slaves to act. Subservient, obedient, ignorant, doing what he was told, not asking any questions, having a slave mind, being dependent on them. This is how they want black men to be in America. This is how they want the whole black community to be. This is why It started in the civil rights movement when Martin Luther King Jr. in his I Have a Dream speech said, 100 years after the Emancipation Proclamation, the Negro is still not free. He said 5 times in that speech that we were not free. It turned the Declaration of Independence on its head, because in our Declaration of Independence it said that our freedom was an unalienable right given us by God. John Locke in his second treatise of government said that an unalienable right is a right given from God. It is irrevocable, non-transferable, and unsellable. The government cannot touch it. It supersedes law. It supersedes the Constitution. However, King said that we was coming to government and to the white man for our right to be free. Even at the end of the speech, he said, on some certain day, we'll be free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we're free at last. He said,
Tell you right now, I'm free. This whole using that as an excuse of systemic oppression and all that other stuff, we not really free. I don't want to hear that nonsense, man. I don't want to hear that nonsense. That's just an excuse. That's a cop-out. Why would I tell my sons that, oh, you not really free, you can't really do what you want because the system is against you, so don't even try hard because it's not going to work? Man, that's bull crap, and y'all know it. I'm not buying that. I'm not subscribing to that, and I never will. So you can hate me all you want. You can take the, people saying they took your black card, you're Uncle Tom, you're a coon, you're all this stuff. Fine, whatever. That don't mean nothing to me. Black card ain't give me nothing anyway. So don't want to hear it. Next.
Said in that speech, when will we be satisfied? He said, we will never be satisfied until justice rolls down like water and righteousness like a mighty stream. That's a fancy way of saying never. And so black people heard that speech and said that we were not free here in America. And we make our children recite that speech every single year on King's birthday. And they say in that speech, the Negro is still not free. George Floyd was a slave in his mind. And the civil rights movement caused him to be a slave in his mind. And today they're still marching, 60 years later, telling black people, you're not free. Beg for reparations. Beg for affirmative action. Kill your children in the womb. Cut off your child, you castrate your children. Let drag queens come into school and shake their behinds in your children's faces. Run God out of the public square.
See, y'all didn't know the hidden agendas behind this movement. Y'all didn't even realize it. All that stuff came in behind the scenes and y'all didn't even pay attention. It just crept right up in there. Y'all didn't even see it. I tried to tell y'all. Y'all didn't even see it coming. Everything he just said was the actual move that they were trying to pull. They wanted that stuff, right? They made the disguise of BLM and civil rights and all that stuff. That was the disguise, right? To move and usher into in this movement. Drag queen shows, books, sexual books in public schools, dumbing down test scores, dumbing down academic standards for people of color, right? Ushering that kind of movement in to make people dumber so they don't realize what's going on. They don't want to hear people like me or people who have a more following than me keep saying this stuff, right? They don't want y'all to hear my voice, so they're going to keep censoring me. My TikTok page keep getting censored, violating community guidelines as I keep talking about stuff. They won't let that on. They won't let that on TikTok. They won't let that on Twitter. They won't let that on Instagram. But if you want to go and shake everything with no clothes on, do it. If you want to do some weird dances on TikTok, they put that up there. You know what I'm saying? But heaven forbid you speak the truth, you get banned, you get censored. This was all a plan. It's all planned.
And then they end up like George Floyd. But the one thing they do consistently is they vote for the Democrat Party, and the places where George Floyd's live, they stay in absolute power.
That's a pretty dark explanation. So you're saying that the Democratic Party as an organization intentionally degrades black people to keep them compliant and obedient.
Oh yes, in my book Crime Inc., I talk about one of the main things they do, like the mafia and organized crime. They humiliate black people. They demoralize them. It's a Marxist construct. They demoralize their people. They beat them down. They tell them that they're victims. Well, it was Martin Luther King Jr. that said They tell you to pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Well, how can you pull yourself up by your bootstraps when you're bootless? You know, he told us we were bootless. You know, you have black preachers, and you've heard, you know about my iron triangle, the black preacher, the black politician, the black civil rights worker. They go into the black community. Consistently, you're a victim. You're oppressed.
Right.
The country hates you.
Right.
Well, see, I look at them and I say, I'm a black man, but I cannot be oppressed. You know why? Because I'm a child of God. I'm an heir of Jesus Christ. I cannot be a victim. Why? Because I'm an heir of Jesus Christ. I'm a child of God. I cannot be a victim. See, they tell these people to go against their religion and their basic ideology, because most black men say they're Christians, right? But then they walk around saying, I'm oppressed. I'm a victim. I'm afraid.
I'll never understand
365 times in our Bible, they tell us to fear not. Yet they walk around saying they're afraid in the United States of America. LeBron James said he's afraid. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar says he's afraid.
Clown.
Kaepernick said he's afraid. Well, I'm a black man in America, and I'm not afraid of a damn thing. I don't ask for permission in my own house. America is my home. So as they walk around here crying, talking about, I'm frightened, I'm afraid, I can't make it, please help me, I tell them they stink in my nostrils. They're an affront to God.
I don't really have anything to add to that. I just wanted y'all to sit here and hear from somebody else that has a bigger following than me, a bigger platform than me. I'm a nobody. That's why I think the followers that I got, I thank y'all so much for being here. I hope you listen to what this man just said. I don't care about white folks, Spanish, Asian, Middle Eastern, whatever. Those, I can't speak on their behalf. I can speak on black folks. Until I didn't vote for Biden, I was black. He told me I wasn't, right? That mentality is what the mentality that you need to have and then to teach your kids. And that's what kind of mentality you need to have in your household. When you be walking around scared, you're not a victim, you're not oppressed. You can't be oppressed tweeting from a $1,500 cell phone. I refuse to believe that. You got an iPhone, you got an Android, you can't be oppressed talking about I'm tweeting that I'm oppressed. LeBron and them living in $1 million houses, don't got to worry about nothing. Granted, they earn it, fine. You know what I mean? I'm not mad that they earned it, right? They earned it. Talking about they oppressed. Oppressed from what, sir? What are you oppressed from? That's the kind of life you want to have in this country. You've got the American dream. A family, raising your kids, they got privileges that because of what you did, now they're in a better spot. A lot of people want to be where you at. That goes for the rest of these celebrities and Holly weirdos. They come to you, tell you all the time, hey, you oppressed, you can't do nothing. And all it does is psych you out mentally and keep you down and don't want you to try anything. Stop it. Get out of that mentality and get out there and get it. That's all you have to do.
The flip side of white male intimidation during the civil rights was also black male cowardice. They laid down and let them beat them, slap them around, rape their wives and their children. Well, no, not me, never me. I'm a free man. I live in the United States of America. They say it's an honor to be, that there's white supremacy and that white people have some type of privilege. Well, as I said before, it is a privilege to be white, but it's also a privilege to be black. And it's a privilege to be an American. And it's really a privilege to be a Christian in the United States of America, the greatest country on the face of this earth. And they're not going to make a George Floyd out of me. I stand up strong. I look them in the eye. And I say, I'm a free man. My freedom comes from God. It's an unalienable right given to me by him. You cannot touch it. And if you try it, I got two things that'll get you off of me. Jesus and my 38. Come try me out.
So the Democratic Party used BLM as a domestic militia in the last presidential cycle 2020 to defeat Donald Trump. Do you expect something like that to happen again?
Okay. Listen up.
Well, you see how they use the same tactics as Iran. Iran has Hezbollah and Hamas as their militias. And the Democratic Party uses BLM and Antifa as theirs, throwing the rock and hiding the hand. Of course they're going to do it. They've always done it. Even at the beginning, they used the Ku Klux Klan.
I hope y'all listening.
For the military reign. Now they're using BLM, they're using Antifa, they're using NAACP, and they're their suicide bombers. They're their shock troops. They're their brown shirts. They're their street soldiers. And they're going to go out there, and I guarantee you, Tucker, they're going to look over all the black-on-black violence. They're going to look over all the black men killing black men. They're going to look over all the snatching grabs and all the burning and all the fighting and looting and acting a fool. And they're going to find one crazy white cop that's going to do something to some crazy black man.
It happens every election year. It happens every election year. And it's one other thing that happens too. I'm going to get to that when it's done.
And then they're going to try to burn this country down for it. That's their plan. That's their template. I hope America's ready for it because it's coming. And it always works for them. It always works because the press and everybody's just waiting. Oh, they're on the starting line just waiting for it. And as soon as they find that golden kill, watch them go crazy with it. BLM is going to start getting their money from the Democrat Party because that's who they get it from. The same way that Hamas gets their money from Iran. BLM gets their money from the Democrat Party. And BLM does not stand for Black Lives Matter. It stands for burn, loot, and murder. And that's what we should call them from now on.
Vince Everette Ellison, Bible in a 38. It's great to see you today. Thank you very much.
Now, I hope you enjoyed that because I did when I watched it. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Well done. Well done, Tucker and Vince. I appreciate that video. Hope y'all will wake up to see what's going on. One other thing that I want to get to that just recently happened, but it's another tactic that they'll try to use to get you to think a certain way and to try to lean a certain way. And it's always the gun thing, the firearm debate. Take your guns away. You know, recently we had a shooting in Maine. You know, unfortunately, people lost their lives and a lot more people were injured, right, by a maniac. The thing is, you can't stop maniacs. Okay, maniacs are always going to be out here, but they're going to push, and they're already doing it. Kamala Harris is already talking about let's be like Australia and take everybody's guns away. Blah blah blah. Right. I'm not going to spend a long time on this. Right. They do this every election year or close to it. You can't stop maniacs. Now, what I will say is this. You got to be aware of your surroundings and you got to know what's going on out here and you got to read the room. When I mean read the room, you got to think, okay, large gatherings seem to be the main places that get attacked, right? Now, for me, when I'm out here and I'm out here with my family, friends, or whatever, I'm going to always be strapped up. It is what it is because I'm going to have a chance in the fight. I'm not going out as an innocent victim, right? In this country, that's my right, and I'm going to use my rights. All right? Now, you got to think to yourself, is it worth going to a lot of places all the time with large gatherings in this state, in this heightened state of highly mentally deranged folks? And to me, it's not. Now, I'm not saying to stay in the house and be scared. I'm not saying that. I'm going to still go places, but just know that I'm going to be ready and aware and be looking at everything and everyone while I'm out. Oh, you can't really enjoy yourself. Well, it is what it is. Like, you can't change it. It is what it is. This is the culture we're in right now. All I'm going to say is this. Be careful where you at. Know where the exits are. Keep an eye out. If you're with your family, keep your family close. Know where the exits are. I always encourage people to carry, get your concealed carry, do it the right way, and protect yourself and you and your family. To the left-leaning anti-gun folks, I'm going to tell you this right now, and I've already told you. No rule or new gun laws or anything like that is going to stop a criminal from being a criminal. It's not going to happen. See, what you need to realize is this. Soft targets are easy targets. It's easy to shoot at people when nobody's shooting back at you. You got to make it difficult for the deranged person, okay? If people start realizing, hey, I may get 1 or 2 rounds off, but just know that 9 or 10 rounds are going to be flying back at me immediately, they think twice about doing what they want to do. Think about it that way. Be smart, be vigilant, be safe. Smart, vigilant, and safe. Thank y'all for tuning in. I appreciate y'all, man. Again, for the supporters that's been here from the beginning, I really appreciate y'all. You guys are awesome. Please keep spreading the word. Please keep engaging with me. Please keep giving me questions, contents, concerns, all that stuff, man. You guys are awesome. Thank you. I appreciate y'all tuning in, man. Y'all stay blessed. Y'all stay safe. And y'all have a wonderful evening. This is another episode of What You Talking About, Willis. And I'm out.